Hey, all you amazing Met fans. Welcome to another episode of The Optimistic Met Fan. I am your host, Frank Osberger. And like always, please like and subscribe to the podcast. You could follow me on Spotify and YouTube, as well as TikTok and Instagram. So I just wanted to touch base on the Washington series that just happened this past week, and also the series that just ended at Citi Field against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Looks like the Mets hit a wall a little bit. They kind of came back down to earth in those last 7 games. They're 3-4. We're going to break those down, and we're going to talk about the injuries that have unluckily piled up with the Mets bullpen. We got 2 lefties on the IL now, so that's going to be a little bit tricky for the Mets to maneuver, but Carlos Mendoza was very optimistic. Uh, no pun intended. uh, in the last post-game interview that he had, he's pretty confident with his righty relievers. But we'll get all into that. I just want to thank everybody again that has already liked and subscribed to the podcast and continues to subscribe. I had some. Actually, I didn't know your names because obviously it's your TikTok and Instagram names, but just shout out to those few who have reached out to me on my account. I greatly appreciate it, and hopefully we could continue on this journey together. So let's dive into the Washington series. Game one we did lose. Uh, we did split the 4-game series 2-2, but the first game we did lose. This interesting play that happened in that game. I think all you guys know what that is. The Phantom, I'm going to call it the Phantom triple play that actually wasn't a triple play. It was a situation where the Mets had first and second, no outs. Jesse Winker hits a line drive that did bounce into the first baseman's glove, but at first glance it did look, if you look quickly, it looked like it might have been a line drive, so I'm not going to completely blame the umpires, but they completely missed it. On all the replays, you can see that it clearly bounced. Even all the players kind of stopped and were like, what the heck's going on? Why is the umpire saying it? We were out. Very confusing play all around. So line drive by Jesse Winker that bounced into the glove of the first baseman. I believe it was. I don't even know the first baseman's name of the Nationals. It's kind of clouding my memory right now, but because that play really got me annoyed, as you can see. But it was a line drive to that Jesse Winker had that the first baseman went to second, and then the second baseman, you know, tagged out the next runner that was going to second base, and it was just a weird play. Mendoza flipped out. Obviously, was very upset with the umpires because unfortunately that's not a reviewable play. Now, why is that not a reviewable play? I have no idea. Very aggravated by that myself. I know that I was texting my Met brethren on our little chat that we have during games. All of us were like, how can it not be a reviewable play? I think that's ridiculous. Every play should be a reviewable play. Why the heck do we have instant replay if it can't be? I don't know if I'm the only fan that thinks that way. Comment if you guys want on that. I don't know, but my opinion is I think that every play should be reviewable at this point. I think that's kind of ridiculous that it's not reviewable. But that did go against the Mets as they were trying to rally in that game. They were losing the whole game up until I think it was the 8th and 9th inning when Mark Vientos hit a 3-run triple to get the Mets up 4-3. It was one of those bloop hits to right field. Pretty interesting play. Kind of just Dylan Cruz was kind of running in for it, and it fell in just fair on the right field line, and everybody was able to score. The Mets had bases loaded at that point. Mark Vientos was a guy who needed to get a hit like that, one of those lucky little bloop hits. Unfortunately, it did get spoiled. As you know, the Mets lost game 1, so that was kind of spoiled by just bad defense in the ninth inning, which was kind of uncharacteristic for the Mets. I do not know why they didn't bring in Edwin Diaz to close game one. Very interesting to me. I don't know why they didn't do that. A lot of people were chattering about that online. I was a little not infuriated, but I was a little bit confused by it. But Stanek blew the save on, on a bad inning defensively by the New York Mets. Juan Soto misplayed a ball in right field. He didn't go back quick enough on it. Didn't think it was hit as hard as it was, so he didn't make a play on that. That extended the inning, and then of course everybody was chattering about how Jeff McNeil should be traded because he couldn't feel that hard hit ground ball that ultimately lost the game for the New York Mets. I also thought it was weird that McNeil was still in the game at that point. Why didn't you put in Acuna to play defense? I thought that was something that they should have did, put Acuna in, but again, just a really bad loss for the New York Mets. But they did rebound in game two. Clay Holmes was really stellar in 5 innings, I thought. He should have went deeper, but that game did have 2 rain delays, so, he was up 80-something pitches, and, you're not going to have the guy get hurt or go too deep into the game. He could have probably went 6 if they really wanted to push him, but again, 2 rain delays, I think, stopping and going twice. You don't want to risk injury. And then, again, this was a good game for the New York Mets to rebound with the bullpen. The bullpen was solid through 4 innings. And we had Alvarez, who came back in his second game from the IL, hit a 2-run home run. It was kind of a line drive to right field, just stayed fair. So Alvarez, with his power from the catcher spot, being seen in game 2, which is very nice. And this is something that the Mets needed. Terren's been catching most of the games lately, so it was nice to see Alvarez step up in a big spot. And that's all the Mets needed was 2 runs, as the Mets bullpen did prevail. Diaz came in the ninth and closed it out. There was an injury in this game, unfortunately. The only downside in this game was that A.J. Minter did leave the game with an apparent arm injury. Later on, it was revealed that it was a lat strain. So he might be out for a while. Might be out for the year. We don't know yet. That opting to not have surgery. So that's one of those injuries where for those fans that don't know, you could either let it rest for a while and you can come back, which that's the approach the Mets taking right now. But, if he does need surgery, he'd be out for the rest of the year, which would be really, really bad for the New York Mets. Really disappointing because I was very excited about that signing early on in the season, like I know a lot of fans were. But the good news was that Granite did come in and did get the final outs of that inning, did bail him out, and like I said, Diaz did get the save. In game 3, Stanek again had another bad outing, and this is something that's been going on for the last week, as you Met fans know. He was bound to have a couple of bad outings, but this is just like one of those bad weeks where everything's going wrong for the guy. Blue hits, bad defense behind him. His stuff looks good, so that's a good thing. A lot of times it's because the stuff isn't good, but his stuff still looks good. His fastball's still up in the high 90s. Just a little bit of unluckiness on the part of Stanek. So I'm not too concerned about Stanek. Buto, however, or Buto, as he likes to be called, has not been pitching well. He's been pitching, kind of back and forth. He had an awful inning in this game. 3 runs that he gave up in this game. The whole bullpen really didn't play well. I'm going to get into it as the Mets did have a 7-1 lead in this game after a 5-run first. So, again, I'm harping on the bullpen in this game to start it off with Game 3 review because, that's been the thing this week, theme. The bullpen's coming back down to earth a little bit, I think. So, again, a tough loss in this game as the Mets did have a 7-1 lead. McGill, however, was pretty good. Had 9 strikeouts. And did get into the seventh inning, went 6 1/3. But again, just a wasted effort by the Mets bullpen as they collapsed in this game. The Mets had, like I said, a 7-1 lead, and the whole bullpen just decided to collapse. And like I said, Stanek with a second bad outing in a row. Not a good look. And this really was a series where we should have swept the Nationals. But like I said, the bullpen was bound to have a couple of bad outings. It's just a shame that it was, 2 in this one series. Usually you like to spread those out, or at least as a fan, you'd hope that a team would spread those out. But unfortunately for the Mets, it was 2 bad outings in the series that cost us a sweep. And cost us a sweep because in the fourth game, and this was one of the comments that a gentleman asked me to talk about in this podcast today, was the 19-run explosion that the Mets had in Game 4. It was a football score, 19-5. It was actually a really fun game to watch if you like offense. The Mets offense, everybody was hitting. You had home runs, you had doubles by a bunch of guys. But the one guy that stood out was Brandon Nimmo. Had a career day, had 9 RBIs on the game. The second Met to do that. Carlos Delgado did it way back in, I believe, 2006 or 2005. I have to double check that, but in the comments, if you guys want to just double check that for me and correct me if I'm wrong. But I believe it was against the Yankees. I know that. That was pretty awesome. Uh, Delgado hitting the 9 RBIs against the Yankees. But yeah, this was the second time in Mets history that happened. A 9 RBI game. Really exciting for Brandon Nimmo. He's just a lovable guy, likable guy. Any Met fan, you're definitely, if you're a Met fan, you're a fan of Brandon Nimmo. He did have 2 home runs in the game. He had a 3-run home run, and then he had a grand slam. What was kind of funny in this game, though, if you guys did watch the whole game, in the ninth inning, he did have an opportunity to come up again, with the Mets having 2 runners on, and Vientos batting ahead of him. But Vientos hit a home run off of Ahmed Rosario, and the TV's kind of panned to Brandon Nimmo, because Gary Cohen was talking about how Brandon Nimmo had a chance to break the RBI record, and I think he kind of knew a little bit because he started to laugh hysterically as Mark Vientos was rounding the bases. It's kind of like, come on, man, you couldn't have left me at least one guy on base. But so a funny moment in that game. It was a blowout, so kind of, those blowout games kind of get boring a little bit as the game's already won. But that was kind of a fun little moment. They were kind of teasing him in the post game too about it. But yeah, so 2-2 road trip, not bad. Obviously, you want to get a sweep, but at the same time, you want to keep at least a good record on the road. So I would say that 500 record on the road is what you kind of aim for. But again, when you have an opportunity, and I know because I got killed with the comments in my group chat. They said, don't you dare say anything. Don't you dare try to spin this positively. But, of course I have to because that's just who I am. So, again, 2-2 road trip. Could have been a 4-0 road trip. So, again, I know it sucks. I'm not going to sugarcoat it at all. It is what it is. Met Bullpen kind of came back to earth in the series. And, that was it. It was a 2-2 road trip. But then again, you want to still, be positive because we still had the best record in baseball at that point. And then we went on home to face. We haven't had days off in a while. This is crazy. But we did go back home, face the Arizona Diamondbacks in Game 1. And we did win this game. So we had back-to-back wins. That was kind of nice. An 8-3 victory. Highlighted by a 4-run second inning. And highlighted by Lindor's 2-run home run, which opened up the game to make it 4-0. In this game, we had, I'm not going to say it was annoying, but it was annoying in that inning where they kept handing to Tom Hanks. that was sitting in the stands. I thought that was kind of, funny. It was kind of like MLB's version of Taylor Swift, all the Chiefs games. They must have shown Tom Hanks 3 or 4 times in that inning, and it was kind of getting on my nerve seeing him on TV so much. I love Tom Hanks in my movies, but I don't love him in baseball. So one celebrity sighting was good enough. I didn't need to see him so many times during that inning. But I say that jokingly because I love Tom Hanks, Uncle Tom, as we call him. But again, uh, you know, Tyrone Taylor did have a double in that inning and scored Acuna from first. That was another exciting play in that inning. Just wanted to mention that because I know a lot of Met fans love Acuna and love his speed. Uh, it's crazy. His speed is really, really good. Haven't seen some guy run that fast since Jose Reyes. I always like to mention that when I talk about Acuna. But again, uh, in this game, you also had a 2-run home run in the third inning by Starling Marte, and then you had a home run in the fourth by Pete Alonso to really open up the game to an 8-0 lead. And then the Mets didn't look back. Budo looked better in this game than his previous game in DC against the Nationals. Tonight in that game, he had 4 Ks in 2 innings, so he looked pretty solid in that game. And then we also had some defensive gems in this game. We had that. My friends called it a Superman catch by Tyrone Taylor. He pretty much flew in center field to get this ball. I don't know how he caught this fly ball. Really, really impressive play. And then you also had what was really a funny play, but also like one of those, whoa, I can't believe the Mets did this. Mark Vientos on a line drive dove, and it bounced, and it dove, hit his glove. And then Lindor was just in the right place. Kind of ricocheted off of Vientos' glove. Lindor caught it, and I was able to make it throw to first base. I thought that was really a cool play. One of those gems that you see on ESPN or something. That was really cool to see. And that was it. The Mets cruised to an 8-3 victory in Game 1 of that series. And then in the next 2 games, the Mets offense kind of fell flat. And that was unfortunate. Our first home series loss of the year. We lost 2 out of 3 to the Diamondbacks. This was our only win in Game 1. Game 2, we almost won. We had a 9th inning. We were losing 4-1. It started off with a home run by Tyrone Taylor, his first of the season. And then it was a ground out by Jesse Winker, which really wasn't a ground out. It actually bounced off his foot, but the umpires didn't call it that way. So a run came in on a ground out, and then it ended up being 4-3. And then in bases loaded, Alvarez grounded out to end the game. Again, and in this game again, Stanek didn't look good. He's really starting to worry me a little bit this week. Maybe it's a little bit of overuse. Maybe it's just him falling down to earth. But something to be concerned about. I think in this series, Stanek again just didn't look good. Maybe he needs a day or two to sit out. I don't know who the Mets have. They've been rotating guys in and out of the minor leagues lately. With Herbert and then most recently Adcock. But we'll see. With these injuries, just want to highlight those since I brought up Bullpen and those 2 guys they brought up. The Mets did lose both Minder and Danny Young. Danny Young, he might need Tommy John, which is also a bad thing. Lose him for the rest of the year as well. That's the case. So the Mets did sign Brooks Raley to a contract. We'll see if he's going to be up this season. We'll see. That was kind of an interesting signing, pretty quick by David Stearns. So we'll see. It's not good to lose 2 lefty relievers in your bullpen. So, but on to Game 3, where Juan Soto had his coming of age with the New York Mets, finally showing that he is a good athlete because, and is a great hitter. There's a lot of Met fans kind of getting on him about that. had a 2 home run day, but the Mets did fall short. Again, the Mets bullpen giving up some home runs late in the game. The Mets did fall 4-2 in the final, and that was their first home series loss. So, they do only have 3 losses at home. So I think that's pretty impressive. But again, uh, you know, their first home series that they did lose. And now they go on the road to face St. Louis. But, when you look at it, they had one of the best Aprils they've ever had at 19-8. Now, not counting those 4 games they had in March. So overall, they have 21 wins and 11 losses. Pretty good. But again, it's, they still have the best record in baseball at 21-11. Dodgers are 21-10. They did have a day off today. So, we'll see if we keep the best record in baseball. But right now, us and the Dodgers have the most wins at 21. So that's pretty good. You can't really say it any other way. I mean, how do after the April we had last season, how are you not happy about this? Me personally, I thought the Mets would win 90+ games. I didn't know that they would already be, chasing 30 or, possibly 30+ wins by the end of May. This would be really good if they continue doing this. Get that win total up and maybe even be on pace to win 100 games. That'd be really, really, really great. So, again, it's early in the season. We could look ahead to a couple of things coming up. The series in St. Louis or the series in Arizona, against Arizona in Arizona. But right now, this Met team is looking really good. So, the one thing I will say is that this Met depth has really been incredible. Where guys get injured, guys need a day off, or guys get hurt, or in the bullpen you got to make a change and you bring a guy up from AAA. Who knew that it would be this soon that we'd be using all this depth? But it's really great to know that this team has all this depth. Can't wait for some of the offensive players, some of the position players to come up from the minor leagues to show how much depth this team has down there. But right now, everybody's playing great. We got a healthy team. It's really cool seeing McNeil play center field, playing some left field, and around, giving guys days off. Got a lot of depth with this team. And I think Acuna being up here full time is going to be a really good thing for the New York Mets long term. We'll see what happens with everybody else. But right now, there's no need to rush anybody to come up to the Mets. Right now, I think their main concern is fixing that bullpen. And now the guys got hurt. But, with that said, let's look at the week ahead. So the Mets do have a road trip that's coming up. 6 games against the next 6 games are going to be against the Arizona Cardinals and the Diamondbacks. So the upcoming series matchups, we got Clay Holmes going Friday night against Sonny Gray. So that should be a tough matchup for the Mets. Sonny Gray's pretty good, but Clay Holmes, he's having a great start to the year. So we'll see him tomorrow night do his thing. I think Clay Holmes is only going to get better with that sub-3 ERA that he has. And all those strikeouts looking really, really solid. Then we have one of my personal favorites, Tyler McGill, going Saturday against Eric Fetty. Now, that's an interesting matchup because Fetty gives us issues. He doesn't have great stuff. He's just one of those guys that throws junk and seems to get everybody out. So that should be an interesting matchup on Saturday. And then we'll see Griffin Canning, the biggest surprise of the season so far, go up against Palante. So, with that said, I think it was a pretty good show today. Giving you guys an update on everything that's going on. Until then, stay amazing.